First off, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And I want to give you my top 10 events of 2024 and kind of put it in perspective of I hope you can do the same because we always want to reflect on what happened in our year, what are we going to do different, and what did we learn through that journey. So here we go. Number one. Oh, I'm Podcast Pete, if you haven't figured that out. Okay, number one, my faith got stronger. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you prioritize, you always get better results, but sometimes you don't prioritize the right things. And I think God has a way of tapping on your shoulder to say, I'll help you. And that's what he did. So he tapped me on the shoulder and said, I'm going to provide you with something that'll slow you down and get you to set better priorities and to put me first. Honor me, and everything else is easy. And so I had never done that. I am I just a little quick background. I'm dyslexic, ADHD or ADD. So reading was never a big deal. Wasn't something I embraced. I listened to stuff. So reading the Bible was just like reading a book. It was harder. I mean, it was hard. So I always felt guilty that I didn't put the time in something that was important to me until I had a stroke. Then I had 49 days, 10 at Wellstar, which was hell on earth, another story, another day, and 39 at Shepherd, which was heaven on earth, another story for another day. So when you have a stroke and you did what I did, which I didn't even have the common sense to call 911, and you lose 20, 25 minutes of valuable time, well, it's going to be different because the brain needs oxygen. And when your brain bleeds the back and you don't have oxygen, it affects you. So I find myself, after not even realizing I need to call 911, I find myself in a bed the next day realizing that I had survived. I didn't leave this earth. And I think for those that have been in this situation where you've stared death in the mirror and you don't want to go there yet, because none of us get out of this alive. So leaving this earth sooner than later is not something that some of us want to do. We want to have an impact. We want to do something that has an impact on lives. So I find myself waking up, realizing I survived. That took me on a 49-day journey. Whoa. You talk about the storm. And I had a gentleman, he was on my podcast. His name is Christian. Interesting. We're talking faith, and his name is Christian. And when you go through the trauma on what he went through, you can see why he has achieved what he's achieved. And I don't know how he came onto my podcast. He doesn't know. So I'm just going to say it was one of those God moments that God puts people in your path to maybe get your attention. And he did. So just this week, I'm on a call with him, and he says something like PTSG, not PTSD. PTSG is growth as a result of trauma. that when we go through trauma, we have an opportunity to grow. And sometimes when we take that opportunity, we grow so fast, so quick, that it's hard to imagine that a person can do that. But when you realize that your days on earth could have been over, you come out of it with my philosophy now is I live every day like today's my last. And one day I'm going to be right. So when you live that way, you live it on purpose. You're present. You cherish every meeting, every talk, every conversation, every person, every single thing you do. You don't waste time. So I found myself staring at death in the mirror and realizing that I wasn't ready. So when you get on the other side of that, your priorities are completely different. So that started me on a journey, and that's for another day. But that journey was a journey of one, not playing golf, two, shutting down a business that I actually thought I loved because I love marketing, but I didn't love the digital marketing pace. A life change, and everything from starting over. So if you're out there and life has kicked you in the butt or in the gut, once you survive that blow, what did you learn from that? So I learned that I want to be bold, which is short for courageous. I want to make an impact, and I want to have fun. So that started a whole discovery process of discovering who I was, what I wanted to do, appreciating everybody. I've always been one to talk to people, but I don't text that much. I don't watch any TV. I'm not on social media, and I started out in social media 10, 12 years ago. Don't do that. And that has created a richness and an incredible journey of discovery that my faith is number one. I never really like I said, read the Bible that much. I read Proverbs chapter every morning. I get up early. I can't wait to get going. And I go until I'm worn out. And then I go to sleep. I do it again. And it seems kind of boring, but it's so exciting. So I'm reading Proverbs one chapter every day. Never did that before. So now I have a little bit more wisdom than I ever did. So that's good. Because if you want to, let me go back to the growth, PTSG. I've had more drama or more tragedies or more challenging things than most. Growing up ADD and dyslexic is a weird combination. And the combination of dyslexia is you're in a world that 80% of the people are not, and you're trying to fit in. You're slow when it comes to reading. You're labeled. You can't spell words more than, oops, somebody here? Nope, I don't know. So anyway, it's living in a world of shame, of embarrassment, of trying to keep up, because when you send out an email before voice to text was here and you misspell half of the words, that's not really effective in business. So you live with the shame, the fear every day that you're going to be judged by the words you spell. or the sentences you structure or your accomplishments and on and on. So that forms a trauma in your life that you have to live with. I didn't do a very good job living with that because I spent in and out of depression my whole life. And it was not done by medical depression. I think that's a whole different thing. Get some therapy for that if that's your situation. But mine was, I called situational depression, which when everything overloaded me, I shut down. I froze. And when you freeze in business, that ain't good. It's kind of like you got to keep moving. And it would absolutely stop me in my tracks. So I resulted in drugs, legal, but drugs to get it going. So I was using legal speed, which right now it's called Adderall. It was Ritalin. So that's a whole different dynamics. But let me go on to second. Being with family fills my heart. I was disconnected to my family for, I don't know, year and a half, something like that, maybe two. I don't remember the exact. It's a hell you never wanted to go through on earth. Now, I just went to a birthday party last night and was with family. I have go out on dates with my granddaughters, three oldest, on Friday, with my daughters, with my son-in-laws. So that fills the heart, and that was a major thing. But it didn't start the first part of the year that way, but ended that way. And that's so exciting because it fills your heart. Second, mindset matters. I think our mindset, how we approach things, how we work on ourselves, it matters. It matters so much that you can see the divide in our country. And I think it's personal development mindset. If you understand somebody, you're more apt to give them grace. When you don't, you have one side on one, you have I call the CNN and the Fox side. You have people that believe one way and you have people that believe the other way, and there's nothing in the middle. Well, I think that is slowly going away because we saw a very decisive election. The political tides have changed. The world is changing. AI is changing. Bitcoin is changing. This business is changing. And if you're not open to change and your mindset is just what it's been in the past, you're going to miss the biggest economic shift in our lifetime. And you should do your research. You should find out about AI. You should do a little bit more digging in Bitcoin. Find out what's going on. Don't want to be like I've done on podcasts in the busy bus versus the purpose plane. So your mindset does matter. And as my friend Crystal Duke said, she gave me a book, Mindset by Carol Dweck, probably 2 years ago, year and a half ago, something like that. And I had never heard of that book, but it's basically a fixed versus a growth mindset. And the mindset is, do you have a mindset of growing or do you have a fixed one? And when you have a fixed one, you're thinking scarcity, you're thinking fear, you're thinking your mind starts to play on you because you don't have that growth mindset. You're not investing in books and good podcast and learning and talking to people and being with people and developing relationships because your mindset is fixed. So mindset matters. Next, habits. Habits create outcomes. When I was at Overture, which is 55 and older in the Kennesaw area, I went to the gym 5 o'clock, sometimes earlier, every single morning. I miss one morning in almost 2 years. That's crazy when I think back on it. But here's what I did it. I did it because I wanted an outcome, but I wasn't good at willpower. So I stacked Power Habits by James, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Stack all your things on top of each other. So I stacked so many things on top of that activity, I could miss. I didn't want to miss because I journaled, I prayed, I meditated, I drank my 2 cups of coffee, I did my plumbing, I did everything that was just so much driven towards that one little habit. So I just look forward to it. And to look forward to spending a half hour in the gym, well, a little bit more, maybe 40 minutes, 35 minutes, because I did the bike and then I did upper body, lower body. But every single morning I went down 4 flights of step and up 4 flights of step. Got my cup of coffee, sat around, journaled, and just made that so special that I was learning when I was on the bike. I was journaling when I was off the bike, and I was planning for the week. And so it became such a powerful habit, and the outcome was phenomenal. So that was my fourth. Fifth, goals. Now, goals gave me focus. I had always been one of these one of these guys that I'd write them down, then I would remember them like 10 months later. Oh, yeah, I did set that goal. But now is different. It's on my app, Growth Day. It's written down. I journal every day and I put these things into my life. I look at my goals in the morning. And a lot of times during the day, and even this year, I'm going to laminate them. I'm going to put them front and center so I see them every time I'm at my computer or in my office. But that's getting a little bit better. When I started Brendon Burchard's planner, it was pretty advanced in all the questions it asked you and just everything. So I was going through a phase of learning. Now, if you see my planner, it's 1,000% better when I started it because I got better. I started setting goals. I started seeing results from better focus, better outcomes, making better decisions, saying no to things, saying yes, which is really saying yes to the things that are part of your goals. So goals has been, and I even had a picture that said goals because I knew how important it was, but being a little, I guess, ADD and dyslexic, I was always trying to do one more thing. And you can't do one more thing because there's always one more thing. So you're late for appointments, you're overloaded, you're just racing and reacting to things versus strategically planning the day. I plan my day. I start at about 3:30 and it ends at 8:30. And my days are absolutely, it's comical to what I do now. I do 3 days in one. So from 3:30 to 8:30 is one day, 8 to 1 is the other day, and then 1 to the rest of the day. So I have 3 days in one. I try to get done by 1. All my major priorities done by 1. That's from Brendon Burchard. So you learn things. I've been every single day for 10 months. I've listened to his daily fire every single day. Have not missed one day. And I know I have clients, and I used to give it to them before they with it, and they go, I haven't done much with it in a couple of days, but I definitely, because you have different priorities, you have a stroke, it changes your outlook on life. You realize that your time on earth is not over, But until it is, I'm going to give it every single thing I can. So, number 6, I have it on the board here, so I don't really remember this. Number 6, the people I hang around with make a difference. What do I mean by that? You've always heard you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most. Well, that's true. But I'll also say kind of technology has allowed us to find people like on podcasts, to find Brendon Burchard, Daniel Priestley, Seth Godin, Chris Dew, individuals, and then in the health, Peter Attias, and I could go on and on. I think I have another one up here. I'm leaving somebody out I know, Ed Milet, and I could go on. These are the people I surrounded myself, along with people that I hang around with. So not only are you surrounding yourself, because if you say, well, I just don't know anybody, that will lift me up. Well, they're all online. They're all on YouTube. They're all on podcasts. So find who you like and get to know them through the digital experience. But then, too, the people, even that you hang around with. If somebody's toxic, you got to eliminate. You got to limit your time because that person will drag you down. So you want to be around people that pull you up. So both digitally and in person, you have to be very sensitive to your environment. Next, personal development helped me grow intentionally. I do Growth Day, which if you haven't heard of Growth Day, I'm going to give you a master class after this free. It's our ecosystem. So you can have the best year ever. And I wish that to every single person that sees this, because we're only here a small blip of time. When you think of 18 billion years, or how many billions of years this planet has been around, the solar system, the universe, and you think that maybe you're here 80, 90, 100 years, that's nothing. So why not give it your best while you're here? Don't let fear control you. Be courageous. Do things. Appreciate people. And live your life like every day is your last, because one day you're going to be right. So live it to your fullest. Be kind. Be positive. Be generous. Be humble. And know where you're going and bring people along with you, because you're going to see another thing at the end here. Daily exercise, number 7. Daily exercise. I can't say enough about Brendon Burchard and his Growth Day. I wish I could. Well, you'll be able to see it on there. Daily exercise gives me energy, focus, and good health. So we get one body. That's it. Can't trade it in. There's no trade-ins allowed. So take care of it. When we look around what has happened, and I think we're going to see some changes when we see how things are going to shift in the next year and beyond. We as a society eat too much sugar. We don't exercise. We don't take care of ourselves, and it shows. Shows from diabetes, overweight, you name it. It keeps going on because we have so much here in America. We're blessed to have so much, but it's a two-edged sword, kind of like the iPhone. I love it, but it's overused by a lot. And when you have two-edged swords, you got to be careful. One sword will cut you, the other sword will sharpen you. So when you look at that, exercise, take care of yourself, daily routine, exercise, get that body moving. There's plenty out there. There's no shortage of information. So apply it. Hire a coach. in that area. Hire Crystal Duke. Crystal is amazing, and she'll help you get in shape because there's nothing more important than your health. Because when you lose it, you have one goal, and you should have one major goal, but your one goal is to get healthy again. So you abuse yourself, you don't take care of yourself, you lose your health. Doesn't matter how much money you have. When you lose your health, you can't just get more cards. You got to play the cards that are dealt. You take care of that hand, literally. So daily exercise. The next one was most of the time the problem is me. Look in the mirror. Well, I had kind of a discovery. I always thought it was somebody else. It was that person. But look, when you point at somebody, look where the three fingers are pointing back at you. So one finger could be pointing at somebody else, three are pointing at yourself. So look in the mirror. The problem this year was me. I made the mistake. I thought it was somebody else. And as a result, it was terrible. But when you're in denial, when you don't honestly look at yourself and take improving yourself personally and you blame others, it's that recipe for disaster. Now, I know it was me, and I've made a change in my life. So that could be a whole new podcast, but we'll go on. Fear is man-made. Either you own it or it owns you. Courage is better. That's why my motto now is be bold, courage, make an impact, and have fun. So fear, let me give you a little of my experiences with fear. I lived in fear my whole life. I know fear like I know the back of my hand because I lived it. I experienced it. I was fearful of looking stupid. I was fearful of being slow, not being able to comprehend, not being able to write, not being able to express myself. So I know what fear is like. And so when you live in fear, then when life hits you and you have a chance to live and you know you have a second chance on life, fear is not that big of a deal. So I maybe I do have fear, but I am legitimately right now don't have fear. I say what's on my mind and I try to be respectful, try to be humble, but I say what I think. And sometimes it gets me in trouble, but sometimes it's who I am. I love not living in fear. And so that makes me different than I was 4 years ago and for 40 plus years. So being courageous and sharing how you feel about people, not being fearful of being judged, is a freeing feeling. So now I act courageously. I act bold. I challenge myself. I say what's on my mind. I mean, I express to people how I think about them, how I feel about them. Not saying, I wish I would have said that, but appreciating people, complimenting people, letting people know how much you mean to them. So fear is a thing of the past. Okay. And the last one is starting over is challenging. It's fun. It's exciting and it's rewarding. I'm 67, starting over. What I own, you can fit in a 10 by 10 self-storage unit, with the exception of a 20-year-old car. So you think you'd have a lot of toys at 67. but I don't have as many toys as you would think because I can fit them in a 10 by 10 self-storage, and I do have a self-storage 10 by 10. And that does, things aren't going to make you happy. People, relationships, living life, enjoying your life, not waiting till you're old and can't move before you start traveling, living a lifestyle business. And that's what we talk about, is a lifestyle business. So I'm going to tell you my vision because I want you to be challenged for 2025, to think big, think really big. Don't let your beliefs and the judgment of others have you playing small. Play big. I had a motto when I was in Overture is, what was it? Let me think of what it was. Go big or go home. Well, I went big. I built a business and I have a lot of debt, and I went home. So that's a story for another day. But be careful what you say because it may come true. So as a result of playing big and not having any fear, I didn't care what I spent, but I spent it an investment in me. So when I talk to people and say, I can't afford it, I bet you could afford it if you knew what the reward was going to be, but you're not prioritizing it. I have people that I can't afford it. Look, I went out and well, that's a story for another day. But anyway, I want to tell you what is the benefit of waiting to the end here. Go to petekane.me/masterclass. And you're going to get the ecosystem that can change your life. We're talking generational wealth now. So my vision is to be a billionaire. Yes, not M-B. Do it in 10 years. And I want to give 90% away by year 10. So each year I want to be challenged by 10 more percent. It's called reverse tithe. So to be a billionaire, you have to create at least 100 millionaires, multimillionaires. And I want you to be one of them. And I hope you will be one of them. Not for the money. The money is fine. It's just a game. Business is a game. And we score ourselves by money. And look at Elon Musk. He's doing pretty good in his business game. And that's all it is. That's why he doesn't even own a house. And he's the richest guy in America. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I think it is. So those kind of things don't get him going. What gets him going is he loves to make a difference. And I heard, and I'll give you this because I think it's kind of cool. A person said, well, Elon, what makes him so productive? Like, how does a person have 3 companies? And then he's doing Twitter and he's saving the government and he's doing this. How does he have time to do that? Because he has 24 hours and so do you. What he does is he goes to each company once a week, spends a day, and he solves the biggest problem at that company that day. So we'll do a committee to analyze a committee to think about what we might do. He gets it done. So he sits down with, let's say, the engineers, the leadership, and he says, what's your biggest problem? They tell him, then they go about solving. And he does that with all 3 of his companies. So he's always solving the biggest problem every week. So for you, solve big problems. You want to get big returns, solve big problems. You want to live small, you'll get small. You want to live big, you get big. So I hope that you'll be one of the 20 people, because we have a beta starting in January, that we are going to roll out the most powerful way for you to get a mindset of a millionaire. And maybe somebody wants to be a billionaire in there. And when you do that, you have to create a lot of value for people. But we're getting into the most exciting time of our lifetime. So generational wealth is in front of you for those that capture it. But like opportunity knocks, not everybody goes in. Not everybody is ready for a journey. I have so many people that just want to barely grow. And that's, hey, you're going to barely be around in business, because the people that grow and use AI and think big will be the big winners. Is it tough? You better believe it. I heard a saying, and I thought it was worth it, that entrepreneurship is like chewing glass and loving the taste of blood. So it ain't easy. Don't expect it to be easy. Lean into it. Love every day, every challenge, and solve big problems. And the freedom will just not only fill your heart because you're solving big problems, you're having fun and you're making an impact. So go to pkane.me/masterclass. You can take our assessment, which is the first step of the masterclass. The first step of the ecosystem is pkane.me. Pick your avatar, either entrepreneurs who want to grow and scale their business by 10x, or nonprofits that want to grow and scale their impact in the community by 10x, or corporate professionals that are kind of stuck 30 years in the same thing, doing the same thing over and over, listening, not really growing, and you want to transition to be an entrepreneur and have that freedom that people talk about, we can help you. So either one, pick your avatar, take your assessment, then we would love to have you on our podcast, because I got to get to know you. I got to know your story, your dreams, your goals, what you want to do, the impact you want to make on this world. I got to know that to be able to help you. So I hope to see you. And then the last thing, I'm going to give you my AI bonus. Yes, I am. Jeff Bourgeois. Go to LinkedIn. Search him. He's got Big Thinker Universe, and he's got a free mini course. I've known Jeff for 7 years. He's my partner. We do a big project together, and he does a big project with himself, with his AI, taking 10 months to this guy is the most productive person I've ever met in my life. He would give Elon a run for his money. But go to pkane.me/AI and take his free mini course. It's our gift to you. So thank you so much. Yep. Please share this with somebody that you want to help this year, because this is the most exciting year in our existence, and more change is going to happen. And if you're aware and you're not stuck in that busy bus mindset, and you get in the purpose plane, wow, flying above the clouds, above the noise, and being able to know that you're on purpose, what you're doing, is a beautiful thing. I thank you so much. So be bold, make an impact.